quarterback. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. Could anyone play better? Say, say. No, no. Tackle, 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 tackle. Tack, tack, tack. Show those other boys what they lack, lack, lack. If I gave you $1, you could keep most of the change, because all I really want is a quarterback.
Maybe you should execute that trainer.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Steelers Sanctuary Draft Spotlight. I'm your host, Dave Rivero, with my partner in crime for the draft, Bob Quinn. Bob, how's it going?
Wonderful. This should be a very fun show since we're talking about quarterbacks.
Quarterbacks gets the best of us, right? This is our second to last Draft Spotlight show. We're 10 days away, buddy. 10 days away from the draft. No, actually, wait a minute. We're 2 weeks out, right? So 17 days. No, 10.
Yeah.
Anyway.
10 days out.
Let's talk Steelers top 30 visits. First off, I think this is the final list. If you want to pull that up on the screen, Bob, we'll take a look at it.
There we go.
I counted 4 quarterbacks, 7 running backs, 4 wide receivers, 7 defensive linemen, an edge, 2 corners, and a safety. I think Todd McShay had, in his last mock draft, he had Nick Imawari in his last one, and that's one of the last visits that we had. What do you think about that? We talked about it a little bit on the last podcast, but for the Draft Spotlight show, is there any chance they take a safety in round 1?
I mean, would I love it if they took Nick Imawari? Absolutely. I think he's the best player in the draft. It's just a matter of, it's really going to boil down here to where they're going to go philosophy-wise. I think a guy, if he slips to them, I think it's a matter of you pick a guy like that and just say, hey, 5 years from now, he's an all-pro type player. We're just going to put him in there. We didn't necessarily need TJ Watt when we drafted him, and he became an all-pro type of guy. So, I mean, yeah, I'm torn. I mean, would I love to take Nick Imawari? Yes. I think some Steeler fans would lose their minds over it. But, I mean, it really is going to matter how the draft falls. And now what we're going to talk about today, the quarterbacks, who knows?
Yeah. I wouldn't hate it. I suppose you could play some slot right off the bat. You could play some 3 safety looks, and then eventually, that too. You could fit a lot of shoes on this defense. This draft is so thin that if a guy like that, a talent like that, falls to you, you have to think about it, right? I mean, if he ends up being a 7-year starter and a Pro Bowler at some point, and you passed on him to try to shoehorn, a defensive tackle, the 4th or 5th best tackle on the board, if that's the way it falls, I'd rather take Imawari over that any day of the week. I mean, and then there's the whole philosophy, like we've talked about a bunch. Do they take a weapon for if and when Uncle Aaron ever does sign here?
Yeah.
Or do they go defensive tackle because that was their biggest worry at the end of the season? Our last memory is the Ravens running all over us in that playoff game. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, and Tom's got a good point. Safety, is it our biggest need? No, it's not. But
no,
if you told me 2 years ago or 3 years ago that when Kyle Hamilton was on the board and the Steelers could have got him, that he would turn into the kind of player he's turned into for Baltimore, and kind of a jack of all trades, good in the run support. Imawari has better physical traits, and I would say arguably a better career in college than Kyle Hamilton did. And I'm a Notre Dame fan. I love Kyle Hamilton. I think he was a great player. I was shocked when he ran, a 5.8 in the 40.
Yeah, a lot of people were.
I mean, it was really 4.7, but it was crazy slow. So you take a guy who's a big hitter like Hamilton was, who's good in coverage. He has a nose for the football. And now all of a sudden you make it where he is significantly faster than Hamilton. He's a guy I think you got to really consider. What's weird is, and hold on, I'm going to throw the draft list back up. You know what we don't see on this list, and I know it's hard to see, guys. I can appreciate that. But I don't see a lot of defensive tackles that we think are first-round draft picks.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
Derek
not.
Harmon.
Derek Harmon, and that's it.
Yeah. I mean,
no Nolan, no Grant on this list.
Yeah.
It's strange. It's strange.
I mean, but there are guys who are third, fourth round.
Yeah,
solid
a lot of work
pieces.
on those guys. It's almost like if you read between the lines with this list, it's like they're going running back and defensive tackle late.
I would agree
day
with
2,
that.
day 3 late. And
I don't agree with the strategy, but I would agree that that's maybe what they're thinking.
Even the running backs are kind of mostly day 3, except
Marion.
Hampton. Yeah, Hampton's the only one.
I think Jalen Sampson is a day 2 back. I know
he could be. He could be.
Some people are pushing him down, but and we've been kind of talking about this in chat, going back and forth. Man, keep an eye on RJ Harvey. I
like him. The more
you watch that kid, the more you like him. And my brother went to UCF. He's a huge UCF fan. That's a guy who you might be able to get day 3 who could really be an impact guy.
Yep.
Kind of like Damian Martinez, a little bit more on day 3 than him if he's there. But, if our friend Tony Pauline is to be believed, Martinez probably isn't going to be there on day 3, whereas I've been under the premise all along that he might.
I like Martinez too, but I'm just biased. I want a speed guy.
Yeah.
I want a fast guy as the other running back. I mean,
well, Martinez is faster than you think. He's probably faster than Jalen Warren.
Okay. We'll see. But I want a burner. I think RJ Harvey ran 4.4, right? 4.45, 4.44, something like that.
Yeah,
I want some Dylan Sampson. Give me somebody fast. That's what I'm really looking for at running back. I went back to 2024 top 30 visit. Do you know 5 of the guys they drafted were on that list that came in to visit?
Really?
It was Fuatanu, McCormick, Frazier, Logan Lee, and Peyton Wilson. All came in for visits.
It could be a Marion Hampton. And I don't think I wouldn't be disappointed. I don't think
I wouldn't
be either.
I'd be fine with that. I mean, you're getting the second best running back as opposed to the third or fourth best. It depends on how this defensive tackle class falls too. I mean, Nolan and Grant could both be there, or neither could be there. It's a kind of a crapshoot. Steelers Blitz says Harvey ran a 4.40. I'm not sure his game speed matches that. There's been a couple players that ran faster than it looks on the field, right? There's been a few guys like that.
Harvey, to me, he plays fast. He's, bear in mind you're playing behind a UCF offensive line against some really good competition. But he had his moments. It's there. You can see it. It's there. But when you're complimenting with Jalen Warren, I don't love the idea of Jalen Warren being the power back. Yeah. I like him being the change-up back. And, now with Gainwell.
You're right. But yeah. You're right. You're absolutely right. It probably should be more of a Najee Harris type, maybe with a little bit more speed. Sombras up with Merritt again. Yeah, he had a good run. 40, he's a fast guy. Sampson too. My guy DJ Giddens ran 4.4. I like him a lot. But if you're going complimentary back, you're right. It might be better Martinez. Hampton's more of a power back. They'd be perfect together. Hampton's got both. Hampton's got the speed and the power, so that would be perfect.
Right. Martinez is. People forget Jalen coming out was a 4.55 40. He seems to play a lot faster.
He plays faster. Yeah, he does. It's odd. And
Damian
he's a little
Martinez
smaller too.
Damian Martinez 4.51. Not the burner, but compared to Jalen, and by extension, the guy who used to be here, who's going to be out in San Diego and carry the ball 600 times for 400 yards. He's faster, a lot faster. So as a big back, I kind of like it. But I think if it is Damian Martinez, I see Jalen as the feature and Damian, at least for the first season, being the change of pace big guy, maybe the goal line back.
Is there a name on that list that scares you? Because I have one that I really wouldn't like on the entire list. See if you can pick it out.
Let's throw the list back up here. Well, I'm going to save my initial reaction.
Beside quarterbacks.
Besides quarterback?
Yeah, we'll save the quarterbacks for later. I know what's one that scares you at quarterback.
Yeah, I am not even remotely, not even a little bit, a fan of Ollie Gordon.
There you go.
I do not want to see him in
there you go.
Steeler uniform.
He's a slower Najee Harris. I mean, he had some of his tape's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, but I just don't. I don't want that again. I don't.
I remember the guy who another guy who I'm afraid they would pick. If let's say the TJ situation blows up and they've got to go get an edge in the first round, I do not want to see them pick Shamar Stewart. Okay, I understand at the combine he looked fantastic. He had 1.5 sacks in college, not this season. Total.
Yep. Well,
no, I don't want it. I don't want Myles Garrett light.
Well, I was going to say if they draft him and plan to bulk him up and use him as a 3-4 end on the field with TJ Watt and all the other edge rushers, that's fine. If they're going to try to convert him to an edge, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if that works not on a 3-4. If he's 4-3 and maybe, but in this defense, bulk him up. Put him on as an end then you can rush with all those guys, and that's kind of interesting. But is that worth a first-round pick? Yeah, I don't know about that. And he won't be there when they pick in the third. So if he's going to be the pick, Somber brought up a couple of more fast guys. Jaden Blue, yes sir, and two. There's another couple of real burners at running back.
I know David loves Tootin, and I don't dislike Tootin. Jaden Blue's interesting because I think if you told me we got him in the 6th or 7th, I'd be okay with that. I don't know where he fits in the offense though, but as a kick returner, as a change of pace guy, maybe, but you kind of got Gainwell for that role. So just a pure speed guy, I maybe.
I brought up Brashad Smith. He's a former wide receiver. You could do all kinds of things. You could put him in the slot. You could use him as a change of pace back. I think he returned kicks at SMU too, I forget where he went to school before that, but he was a kick returner maybe Miami. I think it was Miami, and he was a kick returner there. So that's a guy I would like in the 5th, 6th round, somewhere around there.
Hey, just real quick, because Somber's here, and I know he was a big fan of this guy. It really sad news about Kyron Lacey.
We should have led with that. Actually, that was pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, whatever the kid did, I mean,
we spent a little bit of time on him on the last pod about how he could have been a Steelers, target later on in the draft. Yeah, that's too bad. Dave's in the chat.
Yeah, as I'm not disrespecting him. I'm just thinking he's a little small, so I kind of feel like, are we trying to duplicate what we did at wide receiver? Are we just trying to get every skilled position player under 5'10" here? Because if that's maybe that's the strategy.
He's 5'9", but he's like 2 something, right? He's not like, I think Jaden Blue and Brashad Smith are a little lighter. I think they're under 200 pounds, but Tootin's a solid dude. He is small though. He's 5'9", so it's not the size is what you do with it.
That's what she said.
Dave coming in hot from the chat right there. All right, you want to go to the quarterbacks? All right, before we do that, real quick, is the first round pick coming from this list? I'd say probably not. You're down to
maybe. I'd say maybe because I think it could be Hampton. I think it could be Harmon. Although
Golden or Hampton, right?
Yeah, Golden, Hampton, Harmon.
Yeah.
Shadeur. I do think that's in play.
I forgot about Shadeur, yeah, he's on this list too.
There could be. I don't know. We'll see. I know we're going to talk about quarterbacks a whole lot more, but Harmon to me, I think like we did on the draft or on last Monday's show with Trent when we did our rankings, I see him as the 5th best defensive lineman. So if you're telling me my top 4 guys are gone, do I hate that pick? No, I get it.
See, that's what I mean. I'd rather have Hampton at that point. If you're taking the 4th best or 5th best defensive lineman, well, that's our ranking. Some people have Harmon higher than that, but for me, I'd rather have Hampton go for the 2nd best running back playmaker than settling at defensive tackle when it's such a deep class. It's a deep class of running back too, but defensive tackle you could get in the 3rd round and still be pretty happy.
Yeah, I mean if it happens, I've watched more of his tape. I kind of get it. I still don't think he's better than the first four guys. But it's not like he's a bad player. I mean, I think he'd be a nice addition to the team. Do I want the fifth best defensive tackle over what I think is the best running back, or at worst, the second best running back? No, give me the running back.
I watched more of Walter Nolan this weekend. Oh, man. I'm starting to develop a draft crush on him. I know there's some small red flags with him, but, man.
Yeah.
I'm starting to really like him. He's got the most upside to me.
Yeah. Absolutely. Take Hampton if he's there. Double down on DL later in the draft.
Yes.
$1,000,000% agree. $1,000,000% agree. Kenneth Grant's there. Now we got to have a discussion.
Yeah, I agree, because I'm starting to come around on Kenneth Grant again. I've gone like full circle. I liked him. They didn't test that great, so I was like, man, maybe not. But then, if you're serious about stopping the run and improving your run defense, he's the guy.
Yeah.
He's the guy in this draft. That would,
absolutely.
And it is the upside of. Maybe he could become an end and a pass rusher later on in his career. All right, let's do it. Give the people what they want. Quarterback time.
Oh, hold on. I think I'm sharing the wrong screen. Let's try this again. Share screen.
I might have to put my glasses on for this.
No, I think it's going to be nice and big.
All right, let's do it.
So we're going to do the physical traits, since somebody put out that Shadeur was not a great athlete on X. We're not going to point any fingers or
anything. He isn't, but let's go through it. As far as height goes, Tyler Shough sticks out like a sore thumb on this list.
Absolutely.
6'5" and change. Big dude. I was watching him again this afternoon before I came on. He makes some impressive throws. If you put it aside all the other baggage, he's pretty they're all about 220 almost. Sanders is the lightest. The hand size, I was looking at it, they're all in the 9s. 9's the cutoff. Good enough.
I still doubt the Jalen Milroe hand, because when they measured him, I think it was either the Senior Bowl or the Shrine Bowl, those hands were 8 5/8 and magically grew. So,
yeah, but did you hear about all the bad measurements on arm length for the offensive linemen too? Like, they were all shorter at the combine than they were at their pro days. Like, and I forget who I was listening to. I think it was McShay. He said if it was one or two guys, maybe it's the pro day thing, but it was like 5, 6, 7 guys who were shorted at the combine. So I don't know who was doing the measurements at the combine, but they might have been smoking some funny stuff or something. I don't know.
I mean, obviously, if it's true on the Milroe hands and they mismeasured at the Senior Bowl and they measured correctly at the combine, which you would think the combine would get it right. So, who knows? All of those hand sizes, the magic number is 9 in the NFL. If your hands are above 9, you have a chance to be a good pro quarterback. If it's below 9, unless you're named Michael Vick, it ain't going to happen.
All right, 40 time. I saw this 485 number for Jaxson Dart too on another site. I don't know where they get this number from. He's never run a 40, and neither has Sanders. So the 468, 485. I'm not buying either one of those numbers. I don't know where they get it from. Jalen Milroe. This is what attracts me to Jalen Milroe. 4.37 speed. Just putting him on the field as quarterback creates problems for defenses. If you put Milroe with the Steelers with their running game, you've got to have 8-man boxes, and that opens up a DK Metcalf and George Pickens down the field, deep balls. Now you're talking. I know I get all the Jalen Milroe stuff. He's inconsistent. He was terrible at the end of the season. Tony Pauline talked about it when we had him on. He lost his confidence after being fantastic in that Georgia game. He just fell off a map. I don't think anybody has an explanation for it. He was bad at the Senior Bowl. He wasn't great at the combine. I don't know.
He's just not an accurate. To me, that's the one trait you can't teach is accuracy. He's just not an accurate thrower of the football. And I get what you're saying. Okay, theoretically in the running game, he could be this big dynamic guy. Well, we had a big dynamic guy who was 6'3" and 227, the size of Derrick Henry. Well, maybe not weight-wise, but everybody says he looks like Derrick Henry on the football field, and we didn't really use him. So what makes us think that all of a sudden Jalen Milroe is going to show up in town, a smaller, lighter version, and all of a sudden we're going to run him
it's
all
a good
over
point.
the football field?
But if you're going to draft this guy, assumably in the first round, because you're not going to get him in the third, do you think he'll be around in the third round? I just too much buzz.
He should when we get to and we're going to play a game.
We'll do that after. Yeah, I don't want to break the game. Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot about that. But it's first round of bust. So if you're going to pick him early, let's just say early, you got to commit to that, and you're going to have to commit to devising an offense around that. Maybe the Steelers had didn't think Justin Fields was going to be their quarterback, and they didn't all along. Maybe Mike Tomlin thought Russ was the guy all along, and they didn't bother to put the packages in for Justin Fields. Trying to explain the quarterback situation last year. Yeah, you need to write a book about it because it was crazy.
Or even really the last couple of years.
A couple of years, yeah. Since Ben retired, it's been.
I mean, for me, I'm not enthralled by a quarterback's 40 time. And then looking. And we'll kind of get to this when we get to production for the quarterbacks. The guys who run the Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, guys who are definitely leg guys. When you look at those guys and how long they hold the football, because that's certainly going to come up when we talk about Shadeur. They hold it a lot longer than Shadeur. They hold it a lot longer than Russell Wilson even. I was just shocked when I was actually putting the stats together this afternoon. I was like, oh my God. When you look at all the quarterbacks in the NFL who held the ball longer than Shadeur, for example, almost all of them are running quarterbacks. Brock Purdy being on that list was a little surprising, but yeah, I mean, guys,
that's the knock on him. That's one of the knocks on Sam. He's trying to play hero ball. He holds the ball too long to try to make the big play and not take, which is kind of weird because I also heard a stat where he was number 1 in college football last year at throws at or behind the line of scrimmage. So for him to be number 1 in that category, but then hold the ball as long as he does, that means when he's looking downfield, he's taking way too long.
Well, and again, we'll get into this with production, but when you look at just to see when the guys do hold the ball when they're under pressure and they're holding the ball longer than they should. It's a category in PFF. Sanders threw 20 touchdown passes and 4 interceptions. He was second in the country for most touchdown passes in that situation where he was holding the ball. So when he did hold the ball, he took sacks, but he was also productive when he got rid of it and found people down the field and scored touchdowns. Although, I've kind of made the point on social media to you and in our chat, and I've made it to a couple of guys like Steeler Reg and guys like that who are, real down on Shadeur Sanders. And the K-State game is a great microcosm to watch because he takes a couple of big hits where he's just standing there looking. And then he has a couple of those nice plays where he gets the ball out on time, on schedule, and he's pre-reading the defense, and they're, run after catch. There's a lot of good and bad in that game. He plays good enough with 3 touchdowns and no interceptions, but he ends up losing by 3 points. But the more you watch Colorado, the more you realize that's a Division II team that ended up winning 8 games because all those kids are from Jackson State. That's a Division II program.
Yeah, but Bob, they had a Heisman Trophy winner. They had the best player in college football, Travis Hunter, and they had a couple other good receivers too.
Okay, hold on. Travis Hunter's a great quarterback or cornerback. I get it.
He's a great wide receiver too.
He's an okay wide receiver. He'd be a wide receiver 3 in the NFL. Remember, Tony Pauline told us that. He's a wide receiver 3. He doesn't have a route tree. He's a go ball guy. That's what he is. He's a very good corner. He's the best corner in the draft. And the fact that you could be a number 3 wide receiver in the NFL as
he's not going to be a 3 corner. He would have been at least a number 2 wide receiver in the NFL. At least.
He doesn't have the route tree. You'd have the same knock on him that you have on these other guys. He's a good player, but he's not a number 1 NFL wide receiver.
I see a lot of guys said he would have been the number 1 wide receiver in this draft
but he won the Heisman.
He chose.
Right. He won the Heisman in a down year. There were no great quarterbacks this year. There were none.
Yeah, but he deserved it. He was the best player.
Because he played two ways.
Yeah.
Let's be
That's
honest.
incredible.
He played two ways.
And he was great at both. I mean, let's be honest.
Right. That doesn't necessarily translate to the NFL. I think he will play some wide receiver for whoever drafts him. But if you think he's going to play 60 minutes, no way. Dion couldn't play 60 minutes.
No, he's not going to do that in the NFL. No. Yeah. He's going to be a corner. I mean, it depends on who. If the Patriots draft him, he might end up being a wide receiver because they have two good corners. So we'll still, that's TBD. I think most teams see him as a corner, but I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up being a wide receiver too on the right team. So production, how did they come up with the production?
It's PFF scoring model. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
And
how'd they get athleticism too? Do you have any idea about that?
Okay, so actually, I take that back. This is the NFL Combine grades. This is
okay. Okay, I got you.
This was their rating. So, I don't know their methodology for coming up with it.
I saw that too on the thing. I get what you're saying now. Yeah. I know where you get that number from.
Right, and then the athleticism score. It's hard to judge guys who didn't run, who didn't participate in workouts.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So I don't understand where they came up with those grades because Dart's not very high on that list either. Obviously Jalen Milroe, no surprise, was first in athleticism, and he didn't run at the combine.
99th. He did. Yeah, he didn't. Yeah, he didn't run at all. That's off the tape, I guess.
You know what's funny to me? Tyler Shough is, according to the combine grades, is a better athlete than Dart and Sanders.
Well, but people say that. People say he's good. He ran, I think, a 4.6. I think I wrote it down here.
Yeah.
Shough ran
4.63. It's right there.
4.63.
Yeah.
He's a good athlete.
Bad for a quarterback, yeah.
Yeah, for a quarterback, not bad. 6'5", good arm. I saw him make some throws today. I didn't pay enough attention to him through this process. I just thought he's a third, fourth round guy. Then watched him again today. Man, I'm impressed. Now, obviously, the risks.
Go ahead.
The risks are there, obviously. Yes. He's 25. We've gone over it a million times. 2 broken bones in college. Was in college a long time. I don't know.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. So and if you go to NFL.com and you look at the combine, they put a status of what they think a player will be. And these 3 guys are potential starters: Dart, Milroe, and Shough, which means they could not. I thought it was interesting that Sanders and Ward were the only 2 who got eventual plus starter, meaning you'll be a top 15-ish quarterback in the NFL. So, and that's the people at the combine and the scouts who, we hate his attitude. Well, then why'd you say he was going to be an eventual plus starter then? Put him as a potential starter like everybody else. Go ahead.
I've never seen, just between you and me alone, and then the rest of the league and the experts, it's between Sanders and Dart. The ranges of opinions on these guys are all over the board, which probably tells you that neither one of them is going to be that great. Because I'm telling you, I listened to a guy, what was his name? Quincy Avery. He was on a podcast with Ryan Russillo. He's, if you know the Elite 11 high school guys, he's the quarterback coach for that. He's the number 1 quarterback guy for them. He killed Shadeur Sanders in that podcast. Bobby almost quoted me word for word. He said, if Sanders' name was something else, I said 4th round. He said, you'd be a 6th round pick. And then he went through it. I encourage you guys. I didn't know him that well till I heard the Ryan Russillo podcast. He seems very intelligent. He went through all the quarterbacks. In all fairness, he was just as harsh on Jaxson Dart as he was on Shadeur Sanders. He doesn't think either one of them is going to be a good starter in the NFL. He does not like Jalen Milroe at all. At all. He likes Shough a little bit, and he liked Ward more. But he said this is one of the worst draft classes since probably Kenny Pickett's draft. So,
yeah,
I don't know. I'm the more we get into this, I think it's important for Shadeur and Jaxson Dart to land in the right spot, or else they could be in a lot of trouble.
Well, I mean, before we get into production and really hammer it home, this is going to depress some of the audience, but let's take a look at what we've had with Kenny Pickett and Russell Wilson the last 2 seasons. It's not great. There's a couple of things. Kenny got rid of the ball a little faster than Russell Wilson. Unfortunately, he didn't throw many interceptions, didn't throw many touchdowns. It's hard to throw touchdowns when you're tossing the ball out to Jalen Warren 100 times. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, just a couple of the abbreviations, BTT, big time throws. Those are where, PFF puts it out there that these were on time, plus level throws that led to things. TWP is throws that they think would have resulted in a turnover or should have resulted in a turnover. Interesting that Kenny and Russell have the same amount there.
Yep. They're more similar than we want to admit.
Yeah. It's, Russell had more production as far as touchdowns because he threw a better deep ball.
Yeah.
I also think
you have to have an asterisk with Kenny Pickett. It was, the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Who I will not mention his name. That offense was so bad that you almost have to, hedge some of these numbers because it was so bad.
Yeah. All right. So let's take a look compared to what we have versus what these guys did in college. All right. So, one thing that leaps out to me here is that Shadeur has almost 100 more attempts than everybody else. But, again, I would encourage you to watch that K-State game. It's a good microcosm. It's not just he throws the ball on every play. They ran the ball some. Obviously it's like a Kansas City offense to me because Mahomes is going to throw the ball more than we're going to run the ball. So I don't think it was extreme. And that was probably the best competition he played last year, which is why I highlight that game. It's the closest thing he played to a top level team.
Well, the bowl game, BYU, was another one. And
they seemed very uninvested.
They finished higher ranked than K-State.
Yeah, no. I'm not saying BYU is a bad game. I'm saying the Colorado was a team I think missing out on the playoff. They were deflated and just were like, who gives a fuck as far as the bowl game goes.
Remember, Dion was, this is a bowl game. This is important to us. He kept, we're not going to lay down. We're not going to have players not play. Everyone's playing, blah, blah, blah. So
maybe he should have told the players that.
Well, he did. I don't know if they listened. Shadeur was pretty bad in that game. He was, I wrote it down. He had 16 for 23, 288 yards, 208 yards, 2 TDs, 2 interceptions. He struggled in that game. I think he got sacked 4 times in that game, if I remember correctly. One of the big problems I have with Shadeur is his game doesn't translate to me, to the NFL. It doesn't. He's a smaller guy. He's an average athlete with an average arm.
He's not a smaller guy compared to these other 3.
He's a good inch shorter than he's taller than Milroe, but Milroe's a different.
No.
His athleticism.
Shadeur is 6'1.5".
Yeah, Dart was 6'2", and almost a half too. So it's a full inch shorter.
No, Dart was 6'2" even.
No, according to
straight off the NFL Combine, the measurements those were the measurements. He was 6'2" even.
I think it was a little bit more than that, but anyway, I don't want to argue over that. Again, my point is average athleticism. So how he translates to the NFL is he's got to be a pocket passer who's a little over 6'1" and can't get out of the pocket.
It's not he's got to be. It's he is. That's what he is. He's a pocket
Well, that's what I mean.
passer.
That's how he has to earn his living in the NFL. He's not one of these guys that's going to scramble for first downs and roll out of the pocket and buy time. But he doesn't do that. He didn't do it in college. That's not who he is. So what I was trying to bring up to you in our text chain is what quarterback does that? And I looked at a similar height that didn't really move around much. It's Drew Brees. Is the one comp. So if you draft Shadeur Sanders, you're hoping he's Drew Brees. That's successful.
That's not a good comp because Drew Brees was less than 6 feet tall.
What was he, 5'11"? He wasn't like 5'9".
He was 5'10".
Let me look it up real quick.
Yeah, he because Russell Wilson, when he came out, that was the comp, and why he dropped to the third is hey.
Mock Draftable has him at 6'1". Drew Brees.
Yeah, well, they had
they go right off the combine numbers on Mock Draftable. They're very similar guys. Either that or it's Tua. And do you want Tua? Because Tua's shorter. Tua's shorter.
Shadeur's much more durable than Tua. Tua is.
Yeah, I guess you could make that argument.
Yeah. If you watch some of the hits he took in college.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. One thing I will not doubt is his toughness. He took a beating in college.
And he stands into the pocket and throws the ball, which, it's worked for 90 years in the NFL. So I'm pretty. It's worked for 90 years. It's pocket passers have a place in the NFL.
But most of the pocket passers are 6'4", 6'5". They can see over their line. They can, or they compensate by being able to move out of the pocket. Sanders doesn't do either. So what are you left with?
First of all, if you believe the projected 40 time, he's faster than most quarterbacks.
I don't believe it. I don't believe that at all. He's not fast.
It's not a matter of fast. It's a matter of escapability. He doesn't run to run. He runs to throw. And a lot of times he'll just sit in the pocket and he'll make the throw and take a big hit to make the throw down the field. I want my guy looking downfield. The quarterbacks need to make the plays with their arm, not with their feet.
Bob, have you watched the NFL last couple of years? A lot of quarterbacks are doing with their feet now. This is the way the NFL is going.
Yeah, pretty sure the guy named Mahomes is a pocket passer.
His one of his big calling cards is he scrambles and buys time and throws on the run. That's one of his biggest.
That's not one of his big calling cards. He has that ability, but nobody is going, look at Patrick Mahomes, the runner. That's Josh Allen's calling card. That's Lamar Jackson's.
No, I don't mean straight line running. I mean scrambling and buying time. That's what Patrick Mahomes does.
And guys who have come into C.J. Stroud wasn't known as a guy who could move either, but when he got in the NFL, he was just nimble enough to move. You can teach the guy to move. You can't teach him to stand in and throw the ball, which is a lesson Indianapolis has learned, a very painful lesson, that if a guy can't stand in and throw the ball, he just can't. That's why, Lamar Jackson, yes, he moves around a lot, and there's been criticism of him. But if you go back to his college days, he could stand in and throw the ball. He still can. He doesn't all the time, and to his detriment, sometimes he stands in and throws the ball. But he has that ability. So this guy isn't Lamar Jackson. This guy is a guy who was taught by Tom Brady. He's going to stand there and take the hit. Now, if you're worried about Shadeur's mobility, what about the guy who everybody says runs a 4.8 40? How's he going to run around?
Who?
Jaxson Dart.
He's not. That's completely inaccurate. Just watch the film, Bob. The guy's not 4.8. He ran for 500 yards this year in college. You don't run for 500 yards at 4.8. You just don't. That's completely inaccurate.
I've watched a lot of Jaxson Dart film, and I would rate him as probably the third best quarterback that Lane Kiffin has ever coached.
That's crazy.
And Lane Kiffin, that system is designed. It's designed to one read, throw the ball to a pre-read.
I've been thinking a lot about this. I hear this from everybody. So you're going to blame the kid for running Lane Kiffin's offense well. What is he supposed to do? That's the way the offense is designed, and he did it well.
It's not a matter of he ran Lane Kiffin's offense well. He ran Lane Kiffin's offense, which is designed to make his quarterbacks look good. Listen to this list of names for those watching. He started as an offensive coordinator in USC, and he coached Matt Leinart, who ended up as a first-round draft pick. Bust. John David Booty was an undrafted free agent, but he had a couple of good years under Lane Kiffin. Jonathan Crompton at Tennessee, who ended up being a fifth-round draft pick. Matt Barkley, who is by far his most successful college quarterback, had a nice little career in the NFL for 10 years. Never panned out to be the guy anybody thought he would be. Cody Kessler went in the third round. Couple of guys, Jake Coker at Alabama, undrafted free agent. He coached Jalen Hurts his freshman year, who put up the kind of stats that Dart put up, not quite as good as Barkley. Then he's got, a couple of Division II guys, basically, with Driscoll and Chris Robinson at FAU. He's got Matt Corral, who's a third-round draft pick who hasn't seen an NFL field. He's got Jaxson Dart. So let's say Jaxson Dart is the best of that bunch. You got a bunch of guys who are busts because of Lane Kiffin's offense. Now,
it's not because of Lane Kiffin's offense, Bob.
It is because of Lane Kiffin. Look, trends are trends for a reason. NFL people always doubt quarterbacks who come. Same thing used to happen with June Jones. Kids coming out of the June Jones offense. Great stats, can't fucking play the game as at the NFL level.
Yeah, but June Jones that's totally different. That was like 5 wide, no running back. That was a gimmicky offense. I mean, half these players that you cited, he was the offensive coordinator. He didn't even recruit these kids.
Lane Kiffin's offense is known for one read RPO, and it makes his.
That's half the. That's 75% of college football right now. One read RPO.
If you go back and look at the stats in college, all these guys, Jaxson Dart does not stick out in stats wise amongst these quarterbacks in college. He doesn't. It's the same stats. You're going to throw about 30 touchdowns. You're going to throw 5 or 6 interceptions. You're going to get rid of the ball quick because the offense is designed for you to either hand it off or
what's the
throw
point?
It over the top.
What's the point? That's what 75% of college football is now.
But the point is that these guys don't succeed at the pro level as an entire group.
You're cherry picking like he was an offensive coordinator for USC 10 years ago.
He was
an offensive coordinator for Alabama.
I'm going through his whole career.
But Bob, he's been all over the place.
He's been
running get a trend from that.
He's been. Oh, it's only 16 years. What do we need? 50?
Bob, it was 3 years in NFL. It was 2 years at Alabama where he didn't run his offense. He ran Alabama's offense with maybe some wrinkles. But he didn't.
It was his offense. That's why Nick Saban hired him. Because he's Steve Sarkisian disciple. He said, come run the offense for me. And they ran Lane Kiffin's offense.
I'm telling you, you're making a bigger deal out of this than it really is. I mean, I just don't understand. I don't know how you can compare.
How many draft experts have to tell you the same thing, that Lane Kiffin's offense is a problem in the NFL? It's a problem because they stand in the shotgun. They literally, if you watch Lane Kiffin,
Again, that's Jaxson everybody.
Dart, he snaps the ball, he holds it right here, and then he either pulls it back and throws it over the top to Trey Harris, or he hands it to the running back or he runs for 2 yards. Look, could he develop? Does he have traits? I mean, his completion percentage is pretty good, but it's not in the Lane Kiffin system. It's not an outlier.
Yeah.
Could he turn into something? Yeah, if he sits for 2 years and learns from somebody, he could turn into something. But if you think Jaxson Dart's a franchise savior, you're wrong.
No,
Shadeur Sanders is not a franchise savior either.
Well, then we're in agreement. Neither one of them is.
Yeah,
there isn't one in this draft except for maybe Cam Ward, and people still have questions about Cam Ward.
He's not a franchise savior either.
I can probably agree with you on that too.
He's a plus level guy. He's going to be in the top 8 to 15 quarterbacks.
He's got a high ceiling. He's got some traits. I worry about him. 2 years ago at Washington State, he was a mess. Right. He was throwing the ball all over the place. So, yeah, I get some of the stuff with Cam Ward. You say he has the traits, Jaxson Dart. I don't see the traits in Shadeur Sanders. I just don't.
I don't think Jaxson Dart has any elite traits. I don't think Shadeur Sanders has any elite traits.
Then maybe we agree more than we think.
One elite trait. And I mean, turn him into a safety is Milroe's speed. That's it. That's the only elite trait in this draft.
But that trait
quarterback goes
buys you time.
It doesn't.
Screws up defenses. Yeah, it does.
I don't need a guy to roll out to the right and sprint out there and then throw the ball to the defensive lineman because he can't fucking throw the ball.
I'm not going to sit here and try to defend Jalen Milroe other than he's got, like you said, he's got the one elite trait in this entire class that none of these guys have.
which doesn't translate to quarterback play.
A
Unfortunately,
little bit. You're right. It's not the number one thing, but
yeah.
Since we're doing lists and stuff like that, I have Shadeur Sanders' schedule from this past season. We talked a lot about competition and schedules and stuff. Let's take it. I'll do this quickly. They played North Dakota State to open. They barely won. They won by 5 points.
Yeah. I mean, they're by far the
not
best
good.
team.
Yeah.
No, they are. North Dakota State should probably be Division I. Look at the guys they're putting in the NFL.
A couple. They're putting 1 or 2 a year. They're not a big time program.
They're putting a lot more than you think. And right now the best guard in the draft is probably the kid coming out of there, Zabel.
Yeah, they have 1 or 2 guys a year. They're an FCS school. Colorado should roll them. Then it's a loss to Nebraska. Nebraska went 7-6 this year. They beat Colorado State. They were an 8-5 team. They beat Baylor. Baylor was 8-5. They beat UCF. UCF was 4-8. They beat Kansas. They lost to Kansas State. Kansas State was one of the better schools they faced. Arizona was real. Arizona was really bad this year. They were 4-8. They won that game. Cincinnati was bad this year. Off season for them, 5-7. Texas Tech, they were 8-5. Not a great football team, but they had a winning record. Really down year for Utah this year, 5-7. Kansas was pretty bad, 5-7. Oklahoma State was atrocious. They were 3-9. That was a win. By the way, they lost to that 5-7 Kansas team.
Yeah.
And then the bowl game, the best team they played all year, BYU, they did not play well and they lost. This is what I'm talking about. The Big 12 is a joke. So I see guys that the guy Derek online, he grinds tape. He's one of the best guys for grinding tape in local Pittsburgh media. He's showing all these great Shadeur Sanders highlights. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, that's against Kansas. That's against, Oklahoma State. I mean, these schools are terrible.
It's the same competition Mahomes played. And remember, Mahomes couldn't even get a winning record out of it.
The Big 12 had Texas, Oklahoma back then. It's not the same conference. It's significantly worse now.
Yeah, they also had Colorado back then.
And they didn't play the top 3 schools, Arizona State, Iowa State, and BYU. And they didn't play BYU to the bowl game. Yeah, they didn't play the top 3 schools in that conference.
Yeah,
so it's like
that happens with the schedule. That's not their fault.
I didn't say they do it on purpose, but I'm saying it is. They didn't play those teams.
They didn't avoid them, but then you're also
I'm not saying they avoided them, but I'm saying they didn't.
You're also forgetting that the majority of that team is Jackson State transfers. So you're talking about
I'm not buying that either. How many actually got? I need to know how many guys actually from Jackson State, because I thought it was like 5 or 6.
No, it was more than that. And remember, he got rid of most of the Colorado Division I recruits.
Well, that's on Dion then. If he that's on him. If he thought the Jackson State guys were better,
it turned out it was the right decision. They were 8-4. They were 4.
Maybe those Jackson State guys were Division I guys. He recruited them. Everyone wants to go to Dion. That's why he was so successful at Jackson State. He was cherry picking Division I guys to come play with him. That's how he got Travis Hunter.
Yeah, but then you turn around and you look at the SEC, the vaunted SEC. How many good quarterbacks have they produced?
It's competition, Bob. This is the argument I'm saying. It's competition. But
it doesn't translate. It doesn't translate.
It does.
Your competition argument doesn't translate. Mahomes played in he had a bad college career. His teams were bad. Okay, if you go by wins and losses, he could throw the ball. But if you go back and look, this is a guy who's not making bowl games. He's 5-7. His team sucks. And all of a sudden, everybody's trying to trade up to get him because he kind of wowed people a little bit at the combine. And you could see, hey, maybe it's there. Just because a guy's on a bad team and plays decent doesn't mean he's good. And just because the guy's on a good team.
You just described.
By that logic, A.J. McCarron should have been an NFL superstar.
No, it's traits. But when why I bring this up and why I bring this list up is people keep showing me these highlights of look at what a great anticipator Shadeur Sanders is. Look at how good he is. And I'm like, he's playing barely against guys that are not going to be in the NFL, not even going to sniff the NFL.
Yeah, that's most of college football.
Yeah, but we're talking, these teams are barely Division I. The conference is really bad.
They're not barely Division I. Teams in Conference USA are barely Division I.
This is pretty bad. Nebraska, Baylor, UCF, Arizona.
UCF played a couple of years ago. They were undefeated. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, but they're far from that now.
They had a down year. The SEC was the worst it's been in probably 20 years this year.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Oh, I do. Everybody talked about how down the SEC was.
They had
12-team playoff.
How many teams did they had? They had like what, 4 teams in the 12-team playoff?
No, pretty sure they just had Georgia.
No, Texas.
Okay, I don't count. Yeah, I kind of. I always forget.
They've been in the SEC for 3 years now. They're an SEC school now.
Yeah, I kind of. So Texas and Georgia.
And Ole Miss and South Carolina just missed the final, and probably should have been there over teams like SMU and those crappy schools that got wasted.
Yes, so did Colorado. That's why they were so down. They were borderline.
Colorado was never making the playoff. Bob.
If they had beat Kansas, they would have made the playoffs. They absolutely would have, because they wanted ratings.
They would have to play the conference title game, and they would have gotten waxed by BYU like they did in the bowl game. Colorado was never a playoff team. All right, let's.
And Ole Miss wasn't either.
Ole Miss was on the border. Everyone said Ole Miss and South Carolina just missed it, and probably should have been in.
But bottom line is they missed it.
Yeah, they did. All right, what else we got?
Let's look at draft expert rankings. Todd McShay. He's the only guy that I could find out of the big ones who ranked Shadeur less than second. And Mel Kiper, he's kind of famous. He has him as his best quarterback, which is, I don't know.
I think there's some people, honestly, all jokes aside, I think there's some people carrying water for Deion Sanders. I really do.
Yeah.
Those ESPN guys.
Daniel Jeremiah, Tony Pauline, CBS Sports, Phil Simms from Pro Football Talk, PFF, USA Today, and Field Yates. They're all say nobody has him. The one outlier is McShay at 3. Everybody has
outliers. Most of them have either 2 or 3. Yep. Yeah. So they're close.
No. Most of them have him as 2.
No, I'm saying, but either 2 or 3. Yeah, he is 2 for most of them, but it's not like they're
there's 2 outliers
miles apart.
If you throw out Mel Kiper number 1 and you throw out Todd McShay number 3, everybody else is number 2. Jaxson Dart, for the most part, again, very consistent. He's the 3rd best guy. McShay has him as 2nd. The only outliers here are McShay at 2nd. But I find it interesting. PFF has him all the way down at 6.
Yeah, I don't buy anything PFF. Well, I should say that, but sometimes I don't know. We know the problems with PFF.
Then it gets really wonky.
But I don't see Shough 10. Who? PFF, of course, had Shough at 10. Come on.
Yeah, but CBS has him at 9. Tony Pauline has him at 8. Sims has him at 6.
Is that injury concern? If you watch him, he's the best pure passer in the draft.
No, he's not better than Cam Ward.
I think he is.
I disagree. And so does most of those evaluators. And Milroe is the same thing. They didn't get ranked by Jeremiah in the top 50. But it's for the most part, they're 4th and 5th, but you start to wonder with guys like Milroe and Shough, whether it's, a guy like Kyle McCord or Quinn Ewers, guy I don't like, but can be mentioned as Will Howard. I just can't get past how bad he looked at the combine. That's
you talking about Will Howard?
Yeah, I can't look. I can't be hard on Jalen Milroe's accuracy and just ignore Will Howard's.
Will Howard's he's a tough evaluation because he played on by far the best team in football. They had so much talent on that offense that
he's got things you can like about him.
He's got the size. He's 6'4". He's got a pretty good arm.
Yeah,
I think. Go ahead.
Well, Darth brings it up here that there are coaches who say, yeah, but those things did happen. He did have injuries.
That's why he's a tough eval too.
Yeah, he was not good at Texas Tech. He was really good his freshman year. He was really good his senior year. Unfortunately, those were 14 years apart. So give me Howard over Milroe.
Nah.
Look, I could see the argument. I can because
Yeah, I guess I could too. But if I'm drafting, I'm taking Milroe over Howard every day of the week.
If I'm drafting, I'm not taking either one of them.
I could be convinced of that too. I could be convinced of that too.
So,
I'm at the point now where I don't want them to draft any of these guys. I think I was at this point the whole time. But
yeah.
I'd rather they didn't draft any of these guys.
So we're going to play a little draft game here. Let me put this up here. And we'll revisit this after the draft. We're going to look at the top 8 quarterbacks, and Will Howard is on this list for you guys. And we're going to play a game of where they should go and where they will go. So we'll do it like a wraparound draft. So I'll start. Cam Ward, I'm saying he's probably going to go number 1, but I'm just going to say top 3 to make it easy. That's where he should go. And I seriously doubt that is not where he will go. So I'm saying top 3. But anything could happen with the trade.
I'm the same as you. Top 3 on both. That's an easy one. That's the easiest one we'll do. He's going number 1 unless something crazy happens.
All right, so you get first crack at Shadeur.
Should go. 3rd round. Will go. Back end of the 1st.
So you're just saying first round, not top 10 or top 3.
Yeah.
Okay. I get it. All right. So Shadeur should go top 10.
Oof.
Only because the quarterback position is overvalued. I mean, let's face it, Ward is the 8th to 10th best ranked player in the draft. He's probably going to go number 1 overall. Shadeur's 15 to 20 on most players or most experts draft lists. I think he will go in the 1st round. I feel like
it's a crapshoot. He could go 9 to New Orleans, or he could fall late in the 1st.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say the 1st round that he will go, because I think there is a chance. I'm starting to really get the logic for the Giants why they wouldn't do it. But there's a lot of people rumored that the Giants are going to trade back in. Yeah. I think the Saints, they almost made the mistake with Corral, or at least they were rumored to be the ones who were going to make the mistake with Corral in the 1st, but they saved themselves from themselves. I think they might pull the trigger on Dart this time. Ole Miss, New Orleans, that's too close together, so we'll see.
Somebody made the argument to me, and it makes a lot of sense, that New Orleans got a rookie coach, the Deion Sanders factor, all that. They probably prefer to go to Jaxson Dart.
Now, for me, on Jaxson Dart, I think he should go in the 2nd round. I think he will go in the 1st round. Well, you know what? I'm going to say top 10 because I'm just going to stick with the 1st round. Because I think they might just be dumb enough with the Saints. But that being said, I think somebody is going to pick him.
He should go in the 1st round in this draft. He should go in the 1st round. And he probably will go in the 1st round.
Okay. So Dave's thinking 1st and 1st. I disagree. But that's why we'll revisit these after the draft.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, he's the same thing as Shadeur. If he goes past the Saints, he could fall into the 2nd too, or unless somebody trades up. So
all right, so now the tough one, Jalen Milroe.
Yeah. Am I first?
Yeah, actually, before we do that, just Tom, I don't know if you caught the podcast with Zach the other day. He felt like Shadeur is probably 4th in next year's draft if he had stayed.
Yeah, I think it was even a little bit more than that. But all right, so I'm first on Milroe. Should go 3rd.
Okay.
Only because he was invited to the draft. I think he's going to go 1st.
I think he's going to be the guy everybody's going to be talking about. Milroe should go in the 4th round to me. He's a day 3 pick all day long with that accuracy, and he's a serious project. Doesn't mean he couldn't be. Jalen Hurts was a serious project. He went in the 2nd round, and after he sat for a while, that sort of worked out. But I think there's a chance that Milroe will go in the 2nd round. I think he'll go early in the 2nd to one of those teams at the top. Heard the Giants like him a lot. Tyler Shough. Tyler Shough should go in the 4th round to me.
This is a tough one.
I don't think so. I think evaluators are throwing out some smoke here. I think he will go in at the end of day 2.
Now, when you say should go, you gotta debate the health. I think I'm gonna say he should go 2nd round. In this draft, definitely. And I think he is going to go 2nd round.
Interesting. Okay, now it gets interesting.
Yeah, sure does.
Quinn Ewers.
We talked about Quinn Ewers. If you're going to roll the dice on somebody, late day 3, well, not late, but day 3, I think I would do Ewers over Howard or McCord. Okay. So I'm going to should go 4th round.
Okay.
I think he actually goes later than that, though. I'll say 5th.
All right. I think Ewers should be a 5th round pick, but I do think there are a lot of people who are thinking like you of those 3. I don't agree with it, but I think he will go in the 4th.
Okay.
Will Howard. I wouldn't draft him. I do not like his game.
You get fair.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well,
like
I'll be fair. 6th round. Because he is a quarterback. I think somebody is going to make a mistake on him in the 4th round. And I pray to God it's not the Steelers. The guy look, I get it. You like a leader. I loved Tim Tebow in college. I would not want him to play quarterback for my team in the NFL. So when the best thing you can say, the greatest quarterback leaders I've ever seen since I've been watching football in college were Tony Rice with Notre Dame when they won that national championship back in '88, and Tommy Frazier from Nebraska. Those guys were tremendous leaders. They were great running quarterbacks. They were ideal. They were never going to translate to the NFL. I love those guys. Those guys are leaders. And I would put Tebow up there as well. That if the first thing you're talking about a quarterback is leadership, pass, don't want it. Nope. Lead with a trait, and then, hey, he's a great leader. It's important. Yes. But if the best thing you can say is he's a great leader, it's like
it's usually the kiss of death, yeah.
Blind date. Well, what's she look like? She's got a great personality.
Yeah, exactly. Sombra, below Milroe, who are you talking about? Are you talking about?
He's talking about Will Howard.
Will Howard? Will Howard isn't sniffing the draft.
Yeah.
Milroe has been invited to the draft, which means I would put the ceiling at like 35, 30, 40 at the very latest he's going to get drafted. They get these invitations because they talk to people in the league and say, what do you think about this player? And they ask a bunch of teams, and enough teams told them, yeah, he's a first-round guy. So they invited him to the draft. Historically, I don't remember anybody going past pick 40 that was invited to. Am I missing something? Like, I know Aaron Rodgers lasted. Will Levis ended up 33rd, first pick in the 2nd round. First pick in the 2nd round last year. Whether we like it or not, and I don't agree with it either, Jalen Milroe is going high, top 40. And Will Howard's not anywhere near that.
And Somber, I don't disagree. He's cheeks. I get it. I don't. I wouldn't draft him. I would. Okay, 4th round. I'd take a flyer on him, but maybe. But No, I don't like Will Howard either, though. So those guys being similar in traits to me, that's not like, ooh, well, you could get Will Howard later. Yeah, I could get a ham sandwich too. So I think I'll go with the ham sandwich.
All right, for Will Howard, I'm going to agree with you. 6th round, he should go. I think he might go in the 5th. I think somebody might see. I think I saw in the chat, see him as a backup.
Somebody's gonna. It's like Milroe. Somebody's gonna see that speed. I don't disagree that Will Howard has. It's interesting though, but when you look at him, I think he had the fastest next gen speed, like on field speed in a game.
Who, Will Howard?
As for quarterbacks, I feel like somebody reported he ran like 22, 23 miles an hour on a play.
I don't know. I didn't see that anyway.
I mean, I don't. I don't get it. I've watched him over and over. And again,
Same.
I just don't see it. Great college quarterback, though. I mean, I'm not disparaging what he did at Ohio State. I just don't think his game translates at all to the NFL.
You said it, Tom. That the fact that we're debating these guys to the Steelers, and look, we've talked about it. They've done a ton of work on these guys. I think they're going to draft somebody somewhere in this draft.
Yeah, and look, if you're getting Ewers, Howard, and our next guy, McCord, on day 3, it's okay. You can make a mistake. You throw something at the wall there, and hey, look, we could be totally wrong. Will Howard could turn out to be the greatest thing since sliced bread and have a great pro career. You might as well take a shot at it. Look, if he's the only one left when you're down there between you, I would put him 8th on this list. But if he's the only one down there and it's the 5th round, why the fuck not? Okay, fine, take a shot at it.
Well, if I'm taking a shot, I'm taking a shot on them. Either yours or this next guy, Kyle McCord. That's who I would prefer them to take a shot at.
So where do you think for Kyle McCord, 3rd? 2nd?
I think he should go in the 3rd round. I think he's going to go in the 2nd round. I think teams kind of like him.
It's kind of mixed on him, but I get what you're saying. I agree he should go towards the end of the 3rd round. I think he will go in the 4th round. I think he'll be the first quarterback off the board on day 3. And truth be told, if I'm picking, like if I was ranking for the Steelers, after I got past Shadeur, and assuming I don't have my 2nd round pick, so I can't pick Jaxson Dart or even be tempted. But Milroe, Shough, Ewers, Howard, McCord, I go McCord all day long. I take him over Shough. I like his game better.
Of those guys, I think I would take Shough.
Yeah.
I think, again, maybe it's recency bias because I watched him again today. Some beautiful throws. Can run a little bit.
It's hard for a Pittsburgh fan, honestly, to get McCord out of. I mean, let's face it. That game against Pitt, that was ugly. That might be that might be the worst game that any of these guys played. It really might.
You know which game I watched a little bit today too, and I want to make sure I'm getting this right. Yeah, he outdueled Cam Ward. Tyler Shough did in that game they played against each other. I believe they lost, but he had 4 touchdowns and 342 yards. Cam Ward had 4 touchdowns and 319 yards. It was back and forth. It was ridiculous. If you would just watch that one game, you wouldn't be able to tell who was the higher rated quarterback. They both were that good. And that's what I mean about Shough. All right, let's put it this way. Shadeur's off the board and Cam Ward's off the board. And you're the general manager, and Rooney says you have to take a quarterback in the 1st round.
In the 1st?
Yeah, who are you taking?
I resign.
I'm taking
I'm
Shough.
sorry, I'm not damaging.
Over Dart. I'll take Shough over Dart.
I wouldn't take
for the Steelers.
For the Steelers, I wouldn't. I mean, I know there's the rumor Arthur Smith loves him. I get it. I understand. I think Somber's got a good point about this. Hey, Ewers and McCord are both less athletic than Howard. You know who else was less athletic than anybody we fucking had over the last 4 years? Ben Roethlisberger. I'd take him out of retirement over all these guys.
I think you shortchange him a little bit on his athleticism. He was pretty.
Not in his younger days. No, absolutely not.
Yeah, his younger days. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of more.
I'm talking about post-injury.
All right, let me rephrase the question. Say the Steelers trade down to the second round, and you have to take a quarterback. Who do you like out of that? What's the guy you think, no risk it, no biscuit, try something? You have Dart, you have everybody except Sanders and Ward.
Everybody but Sanders and Ward, and I'm pick 83?
Yeah.
Oh, well, pick 83, I go Dart.
Yeah, and Dave chimed in here. It's not because I think Dart could be a better quarterback. I think Shough fits what the Steelers do much better. He's the big guy, big arm. He's the kind of guy the Steelers like. And I heard Arthur Smith loves him. We've heard that from a couple different people now. If I'm rolling the dice, because I think, you're really this draft is not good at quarterback. So you're grasping at straws. So give me the guy that's 6'5", with a big arm and athletic, and for the Steelers, that's my guy.
Yeah, and Sommer, let's be clear. I'm not talking about Ben early all the way up to mid-career. When he blew out his elbow, I'm talking post the 2020, 2021 version of Ben. Yeah, wasn't as athletic as he was early in his career. Nobody played that position like he did. To me, he's the most clutch NFL quarterback of all time. I mean, if he plays just the same amount of games, the only reason Brady and Manning have more fourth quarter comebacks than Ben is because they played a lot more games, and they don't have very many. I mean, I think Manning has 3 more, and Brady has maybe 5 more, and Brady played almost 100 games more. So no, nobody loves Ben like I do, but you got to be fair. I mean, his last couple of years, he was a statue.
Oh yeah, he was beat up. He was beat up. He was a statue back there.
But I'd still take him over all these to get this guy's 2-day out of retirement. Ben, you got 3 months before training camp. Get your ass in shape.
He's done. He's done. I don't think you could squeeze any more out of that body if you tried. This is a good exercise. I mean,
yeah.
The reason that we spend so much time on this, it's so a lot of negative, is it's just not a great quarterback class. We keep coming back to this.
Yeah.
And I think we'd all prefer they didn't take a quarterback. Even if Shadeur falls to 21, if someone offers you a second and a package of stuff, to me, you got to make that deal. And if it's Dart, the same thing. As much as I like Dart, if someone offers me that extra second we're looking for, plus maybe a second next year and something else, just move out. It's not worth it.
Which is why I think they did their due diligence on Shadeur. Look, if they believe that, hey, if we throw Mason out there, if Uncle Aaron comes to town, we're going to win 9 games. We're going to pick 25th or 20th. And these guys, we're going to bet that Arch Manning stays in school and cashes in some more NIL money. That, hey, all of a sudden, Nico, I hope I say his name right, Ianaleva.
Yeah, forget.
I mean, that guy was pretty much the consensus number 2 in the draft, and there's a good chance now he put himself into the 3rd round. Personally,
no,
I don't.
You know what he did, Bob?
What he did.
He took himself out of the draft. He's going to stay another year, I think, unless he goes crazy. I think he has to stay another year now that he's transferring. I mean,
depends who
he could go. There's rumors Ohio State was one of the teams he was rumored to go to. If he goes there, he'd probably ball out and be a top 5 pick. But if he goes to USC, like it's been rumored, that might take him a while. If he goes to Oregon, he might have to wait another year and put up some numbers and get used to the offense, because these teams are already doing spring practice.
Well, yeah, but I don't think that'll be the case with like Oregon. They seem to be quarterback proof. And Gabriel looked pretty good and look, he could go to Notre Dame. He could go to a bunch of different places and have, a decent senior year. I mean, they're going to look back at his tape. I mean, he's good or he's not. I think he is good. And I think Tennessee shot themselves in the foot. I mean, why do you spike the guy who's trying to negotiate with you? I mean, I don't get it.
Well, like it's spring practice. They want their guys in, and Josh Heupel is another guy like Kiffin. His offense runs, and quarterback. I think he said it without saying it. It's like, my offense is going to run. I don't need an elite quarterback. He's done it. He's put up big numbers with some Joe Miltons of the world, so he can. He doesn't need the top of the line guy. And he said, "Look, we started practice," and I commend him for that. It's like, my team's here. We had an agreement, and I don't begrudge the quarterback for wanting more money. That's his right, and it's Heupel and Tennessee's right to say no. Go find your money somewhere else.
It's not like he waited till spring practice started, though. He started saying back in January he wanted more money, and now he's to the point of, okay, fuck you, I'll go somewhere else.
Yeah, that's never been done before, where somebody said, well, they've gotten this far along in the process and they've never had a holdout in spring practice before.
Didn't the one kid last year in the middle of the season?
In the middle of the season, yeah. That's a whole nother ball of wax, too. College football is getting crazy. It's just getting nuts.
This NIL bullshit. I mean, I think they should have been paid all along. But somebody should have came up with the strategy of, okay, guys, we're going to start playing people. And instead of making it the Wild West, going, okay, if you're...
Yeah, there should be rules.
There should have been a salary cap-like structure saying, okay, everybody who wants to dump NIL money in, you all dump it in, and then we're going to revenue share it amongst the teams.
They're never going to do that.
Yeah.
Well, the conferences like the Big Ten and the SEC want it all. They want to dominate.
I think the SEC will go to a revenue share amongst the SEC.
Amongst themselves, yeah. They wanted. I heard a rumor they wanted to pick 50 teams and get away from the NCAA altogether.
Yeah.
And have the SEC 25 teams and the Big 10 25 teams, and the rest of the teams you're screwed.
I think it's more like the Power Five,
But conferences. I even heard that those two alone want to do their own thing. Just say goodbye to everybody else and just grab a few more teams to, even it out. And it's going to be crazy. It's going to be nuts.
The TV contracts will make it impossible. What the NFL should really do is just go to a Saturday minor league and have it an under 22 league. And you can have the college football teams, so you can still have the pageantry and everything.
Yeah.
But I mean,
it's not a bad idea.
It's a dirty business. I'm reminded of the whole basketball movie, if you're South Park fans, where, hey, where Shaq got rich? In college. Everybody knows that. And that wasn't regulated. Yeah.
Those guys are getting money long before this NIL thing became legal. Any last things before we get out?
No, not at all. Looking forward to having Trent on the podcast with us again tomorrow.
Yeah, we got our Monday podcast. Trent's going to be back on. He was a great guest last time. We're going to finish up our position groups, right? We're going to do, refresh my memory, offensive line,
quarterback,
defensive
line, and defensive back.
Okay.
So
and
a little more quarterback talk, like we don't have anything else to talk.
Yeah, we'll try to keep it to a minimum after this marathon. Hit that subscribe button, guys.
Don't forget Thursday. Alan Saunders.
Yes, that's right. We got Alan Saunders on Thursday. We keep rolling guests, getting you ready for the draft. Hit that subscribe button if you like the guests, if you like our quarterback show, if you like our draft content. The subscription button really helps us out. The likes too. You could find us on iTunes, YouTube, Rumble. We're all over the place. Anywhere you subscribe would be great. Until Monday, thanks for listening to the Steel Sanctuary podcast.
Talk to you soon, guys.
Well, he's not weird or anything, is he?
No, he's totally normal.
I think you should be working at the snack bar.
You better relax, Bob.
I mean, normal for us.
All right, let's go.
Now you've had enough.
Okay, crazy guy. I'm gonna go home now.